Hey there, future millionaires. Welcome back to the channel. I'm so pumped you're here with me today. No matter where you are in this amazing world of ours, I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. Now, before we dive into some exciting XRP talk, I've been getting tons of questions from you awesome viewers asking, hey, what about your other crypto holdings? You said you're not selling XRP, but what's your plan for HBAR, XLM, and all the rest? Great question. Here's the thing. Any cryptocurrency I'm holding that can work within ISO messaging, I'm not planning to sell a single one during this cycle. Why? Because we are so close to institutional adoption, it's not even funny. And when that happens, we're all going to start earning passive income from our crypto holdings. Pretty sweet, right? The only time I might consider taking some profits is if prices go absolutely bonkers, like to the moon and beyond. But honestly, I think most of these cryptos are still massively undervalued right now. XRP at this price, super undervalued. QNT, same story. HBAR, you bet. Pretty much every single utility-driven cryptocurrency out there is still flying under the radar. We're literally on the edge of something huge, risk-free passive income from our crypto. But hey, listen, there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking some profits if you need to. If this bull run gets crazy and you need to cash out a bit, go for it. It'll actually help you stay patient for when those really big price targets start hitting. Here's something fascinating from Cyprus in September 2025. Institutions aren't preparing to sell their crypto. Nope, they're preparing to earn yield on it. These big players are already thinking about passive income strategies, and you know what I always say? Think like an institutional investor. They're not loading up on crypto just to dump it the second prices pump. That's amateur hour. Instead, they're putting this crypto to work, earning yield, and locking it away for the long haul. We're talking 5, 10, maybe even 20 years. So what does this mean for us? Well, stick around because we're about to break it all down. And guess what? They're not rushing to sell, and neither should you. This is it, folks. This is the week we finally find out if the SEC will hit that approval button on XRP ETFs, even with the government shutdown happening right now. I mean, these ETFs are literally sitting there ready to launch at a moment's notice. Now, would I absolutely love to see this happen this week? You bet I would. But if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I just don't think it's going to go down that way. My gut feeling? This whole thing is probably going to stay in limbo until the government gets back up and running. But, and this is a big but, once that government reopens, I think we're going to see everything get fast-tracked like crazy. It's going to be like a dam bursting open, and all these approvals that have been sitting on desks are going to start flying through the system. So, while we might have to wait just a little bit longer, the pieces are definitely falling into place. Who knows? Maybe they're actually working on some huge things behind the scenes while the government shut down. Sometimes the best work happens when nobody's watching, right? Now, here's something interesting. Brian Armstrong just dropped some knowledge saying one of the biggest misconceptions out there is that crypto is too expensive for newcomers. He's like, hey, you don't need to buy a whole Bitcoin or a full ETH to get started. You can literally jump into crypto with just a few bucks in your pocket. But then Dom from EasyA comes in with a totally different take, and honestly, I think he's spot on. He says, actually, Bitcoin and ETH are too expensive for most people. And that's exactly why we focus so much on altcoins. And you know what? I'm totally with Dom on this one. Here's my philosophy. If you can't be a whole coiner, meaning you can't own at least one full coin, then what's the point of holding that cryptocurrency at all? Think about it this way. If you want those life-changing returns, those absolutely incredible gains that we're all dreaming about, you're going to get them with XRP. When you can own hundreds or even thousands of XRP instead of tiny fractions of Bitcoin, which position do you think is going to make you more money when things really take off? That's the power of getting in early on undervalued assets, my friends. Guys, this is huge! XRP is showing early signs of capital rotation, and honestly, it's only a matter of time before this thing explodes. So check this out. Both XRP and Solana are flashing these early warning signs that smart money is starting to rotate into them. Options traders are getting seriously bullish and placing bigger bets on a major rebound in select altcoins, while Bitcoin and Ethereum are just sitting there, consolidating. At the time I'm recording this, XRP is trading at $2.40, and Solana's sitting pretty at $191. And guess what? They're both absolutely crushing their bigger counterparts. But here's the kicker. This trend is going to keep happening, and I'll tell you exactly why. We're going to keep watching XRP and Solana outperform Bitcoin and Ethereum, and it all comes down to psychology, folks. Remember what we just talked about? If people can't afford to buy a whole coin, most of them just won't buy it at all. It's that simple. When someone can own 100 XRP versus 0.0001 Bitcoin, which one do you think feels better? Which one makes them feel like they actually own something substantial? This capital rotation we're seeing, it's just the beginning, and it's going to be absolutely beautiful to watch unfold.
Listen, I'm going to be straight with you. The idea of putting money in week after week just to buy tiny fractions of Bitcoin, I think that's completely backwards. If you want to make real money in this space, you need to own a decent bag of these cryptocurrencies. Buy whatever you can actually afford, then just sit back and let the magic happen. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Institutions are targeting allocations of up to 2 to 2.5% for each digital asset category. But get this, State Street is already sitting at 7% overall, and they're aiming for a whopping 16% by 2028. Think about that for a second. Digital assets aren't alternative investments anymore. They're going mainstream, baby. So what does their allocation strategy look like? It's fascinating. Digital tokenization of real-world private assets gets 2.5%. Digital cash, including stablecoins, gets 2.3%. Tokenization of existing financial stuff like funds gets 2.2%. And here's the kicker. Bitcoin and ETH, they both get 2.2% each. Other crypto assets, meme coins, NFTs get 2.1%. And other liquid cryptocurrencies get 2%. Now, Bitcoin and ETH have always had that first mover advantage, right? That's exactly why they're sitting at the prices they are today. But here's what gets me excited. On a level playing field, when everything else is equal, XRP is going to absolutely crush both of them. And that level playing field is coming faster than most people think. That's why eventually we will see XRP take the #1 spot. $3 million XRP hack shows 95% of recovery firms may be. And here's where things get really ugly, folks. While law enforcement is struggling to keep up and respond quickly to crypto scams, ZachXBT just exposed something that'll make your blood boil. There's now a whole recovery economy that's literally preying on victims' desperation. Get this. He says a staggering 95% of these so-called recovery companies are straight-up predatory. They're charging victims massive fees for what? Basic reports that give you basically nothing useful. Here's how these scumbags operate. They use SEO tricks and social media targeting to hunt down desperate victims who've already been scammed once. Then what do? They hand over some superficial blockchain report that looks fancy but tells you absolutely nothing you couldn't figure out yourself. Or, and this is the kicker, they literally just tell you to contact the exchange or law enforcement. Can you imagine that? Picture this nightmare scenario. You've just lost your hard-earned crypto to scammers. You're devastated, desperate, and willing to try anything. So you find one of these recovery firms online. You pay them a huge fee because you're desperate to get your money back, and then they basically tell you to call the police or email Coinbase. It's absolutely disgusting. These companies are making an already terrible situation even worse. They're scamming the scammed, and it's just... Speaking of that poor guy who lost $3 million worth of XRP, can you even imagine? That's life-changing money just gone. Now, James Rule dropped some harsh truth that honestly made me stop and think. He says 99.9999% of crypto theft comes down to user error. And you know what? I hate to say it, but I totally agree with him on this one. Here's what always happens, and I see this pattern over and over again. Someone loses their crypto, and immediately everyone starts pointing fingers at the wallets, blaming the exchanges, blaming the technology. But then, when you actually dig into what happened, guess what you find? It almost always comes back to human error. Maybe someone fell for a phishing scam. Maybe they shared their seed phrase with the wrong person, or maybe they clicked on a sketchy link they shouldn't have. Look, I'm not trying to victim blame here because losing crypto is absolutely devastating, and my heart goes out to anyone who's been through it. But the reality is, most of the time when we hear these horror stories, there was usually one small mistake, one moment where someone let their guard down, and that's all it took.
That's exactly why security in this space is so crucial and why we need to keep talking about it. And Phil Quark over at EZA just brought up something that trips up so many people when they're setting up wallets. And honestly, it's a trap that even experienced crypto holders can fall into. So picture this. You're setting up a brand new wallet and boom, it asks if you want to import an existing seed phrase. Sounds innocent enough, right? You might think, oh cool, I'll just put my existing seed in here and I'm good to go. Stop right there. This is where people make a huge mistake. If that new wallet is a hot wallet, meaning it's connected to the internet, you absolutely do not want to put your existing seed phrase into it. Never, ever, ever. Instead, just create a completely new seed phrase for that hot wallet. Whew. Here's the golden rule that'll save you from disaster. Never mix your cold seed phrase with your hot wallet. If you do that, having your seed phrase in a cold wallet becomes completely pointless. It's like having the world's best security system, but leaving your front door wide open. You've absolutely got to understand the difference between hot and cold wallets. Think of hot wallets like your everyday spending wallet, convenient but exposed. Cold wallets are like your personal vault, secure but not easily accessible. Me? Here's exactly what I do. I buy my crypto on the exchange and then bam, it instantly goes into cold storage. I never, and I mean never, keep it sitting online where hackers can get to it. That's honestly the biggest lesson you need to learn in this space, and I can't stress this enough. I hear this all the time from people. Oh, I just keep my crypto wherever I bought it, on Coinbase, Binance, whatever exchange I'm using. Guys, that's really not a smart move either. Remember the golden rule we've all heard a million times? Not your keys, not your crypto. When your crypto is sitting on an exchange, you're basically trusting someone else to hold your money. What happens if that exchange gets hacked? What if they freeze your account? What if they just disappear? You're out of luck. But here's another mistake I see constantly, and this one drives me absolutely crazy. Even when people do set up their own wallets, they keep their devices connected to the internet 24/7. Think about it this way. You wouldn't leave your house with all the doors and windows wide open, would you? So why would you keep your crypto wallet constantly exposed to the internet, where hackers are prowling around looking for their next target? The internet connection is like having a highway directly to your front door. Sometimes you need it, but you definitely don't want it open all the time. You can lose your crypto so easily, and here's the brutal truth. Self-custody isn't just a nice-to-have anymore. It's literally survival in this ecosystem. Black Swan Capital just nailed it when they said, control over your assets is everything. If you're not protecting your XRP, you're leaving your future in someone else's hands. And man, I couldn't agree more. This is why I'm always hammering home the same message. Always use cold storage. Always get your crypto off the exchanges, because honestly, we have no clue what's really going on behind the scenes at these exchanges. But here's where it gets really scary. Picture this scenario. XRP starts hitting those crazy price points we've all been dreaming about. Do you honestly think the liquidity is going to be there on exchanges for you to sell at those different price levels on the way up? I'm telling you right now, you're going to watch exchanges go down one after another. They're going to give you all these excuses. Oh, we're experiencing network congestion. Sorry, we're having technical difficulties right now. But what's really happening? They're keeping you from selling your crypto when you want to sell it. And here's the beautiful part. You don't even need these exchanges. You can connect your wallet directly to the XRP Ledger and convert your crypto yourself. You can be your own bank, make your own decisions, and never have to worry about some exchange pulling the rug out from under you. XRP into a stablecoin as well. True, XRP is deflationary, and no more will ever be created. Pundit to XRP holders, it's becoming exponential. Supply will vanish. But here's the part of this article that really caught my attention. They're asking the big question. Can XRP actually flip Bitcoin? Now, the idea that XRP could surpass Bitcoin's market cap in the near future, that's a pretty bold prediction. As of October 2025, Bitcoin is still sitting pretty as the world's dominant digital asset. It's got deep liquidity, institutional recognition, and that whole scarcity model thing going for it. Oh, and let's not forget it's being propped up by fake Tether. But that's a whole other conversation. But here's where XRP has a massive advantage. It's all about utility-driven value. Not just this store of value narrative that Bitcoin keeps pushing. Think about this for a second. If trillions in annual payments start flowing through the XRP ledger, and XRP becomes absolutely essential to that process, we could be looking at a complete revaluation over time. Now pair that with all these incredible catalysts coming our way: the Clarity Act, potential XRP ETFs, and much clearer US regulation. Suddenly, the foundation for exponential growth starts looking pretty darn credible. Like I've been saying forever, the Clarity Act is going to be a game changer for utility-driven cryptocurrencies. And when those XRP ETFs finally go live, I'm telling you right now, the money is going to pour in. They already know that tsunami of money is coming. They knew it before they even filed for those ETFs. Here's the bottom line from this article. There's growing conviction among XRP supporters that Ripple's latest moves could mark a real turning point for global payments. And you know what? XRP is already successful when it comes to payments. If people could actually start using the token for its real purpose, that gives it way more genuine value. You can't use Bitcoin to actually transact with. It's too slow and expensive. And that whole store of value narrative, it's completely broken. Every time there's the slightest crisis in the world, what happens? Bitcoin dumps like a rock. That doesn't look like a good store of value to me. Genuine question. So who's actually using the XRP Ledger right now? Bill Morgan dropped some fascinating numbers that'll blow your mind. He says you could start by looking at over 2,000 real-world asset holders and get this, 32,470 stablecoin holders. And that's just scratching the surface. He's like, hey, maybe do some research on the rest of the XRP Ledger ecosystem. And honestly, when you start digging, it's absolutely incredible. The ecosystem around the XRP Ledger is so well-rounded, and it's constantly building out and growing. But here's the crazy part. None of that massive value has shown up in XRP's price yet. That's all still coming, folks. I mean, just look at XRP Healthcare. That's emerging right now, still building and advancing every single day. Then you've got the DNA protocol, which could be a game-changing alternative to government-issued digital IDs. Think about it. If people want an alternative option to government digital identity systems, this could be huge going forward. And that's not even getting into gaming and all the other incredible stuff that's happening. The XRP Ledger isn't some dead blockchain sitting around collecting dust. It's expanding in real time. Every day, new projects are building, new use cases are emerging, and new partnerships are forming. It's like watching a city being built from the ground up, and most people don't even realize the construction is happening. But when they finally look up and see what's been built, that's when the price is going to reflect all this incredible development that's been going on behind the scenes. So, the US government's crypto holdings are now worth over $35 billion, and everyone's calling this bullish. But you know what? I don't see it that way at all. First off, they don't even hold any XRP. And here's the kicker. XRP could actually strengthen the US dollar by moving it around the world in a matter of seconds for less than a penny. But they're completely ignoring it. But here's what really gets me thinking. What happens when we get a new president? Sure, Trump says we're not going to sell off any of this crypto. But the next president? They might dump all of it. You just don't know what's going to happen down the road. Plus, think about this logically. They're not going to want competition for their digital dollar. They want that digital dollar adopted by every single person they can reach, so they don't want any other options out there. Bitcoin was always seen as an alternative, right? Why do you think the ECB keeps telling everyone that Bitcoin isn't going to be part of the future? Because they're planning to make it completely irrelevant. So the government holding billions in crypto? To me, that's just not bullish at all. And honestly, if you're a Bitcoin maxi, I'm talking about the OG Bitcoin maxis from years ago. They would have been begging the government to sell off that crypto. But this new generation of Bitcoin maxis, they actually want a government bailout. Two completely different philosophies. But we're XRP holders, and we already know XRP is the future. We already know the government needs XRP to move value around the world. Whether it's moving the dollar in its current form or in its digital form, it doesn't matter. You still need a bridge currency. So until all of this plays out exactly like we know it will, just stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this video. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. I seriously appreciate all of you. I'll catch you in the next one, and have an absolutely fantastic night.